Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Social Services Budget Committee. Today, we're going to take public testimony for Kansas Department of Children and Families. Before I get started, I want to see if there are any requests for bill introductions. Okay, seeing none, we'll get ready to proceed into public testimony. I do know Representative Ballard and Carpenter will be here shortly. We'll just continue uninterrupted as they roll in here. What we're going to do this morning or this afternoon is we're probably going to go 4.5 minutes per conferee with the oral testimony. That should allow us time for Q&A at the end and get us a chance to get through every one of the presentations and still get close to getting out of here on time. I know I'm thankful that we don't have the lengthy list that we had a year ago when everybody had about 2 minutes. So appreciate your time for being here. And if you see me looking down, I do take notes, and I do have all the testimony up here, so I'm not being disrespectful to anybody who is presenting today, but it helps me recall testimony when we get into maybe the next phase of this. So, staff, any questions? Committee, any questions before we get rolling? Okay, so the first one I have on tap is Crystal Hedrick, Chief Executive Officer, Children's Alliance of Kansas. And I know I've seen her today. Crystal, welcome to committee.
Thank you, Chair, members of the committee. As the Chair mentioned, my name is Crystal Hedrick, and I serve as the Chief Executive Officer with the Children's Alliance of Kansas. We're a statewide association representing private nonprofit child welfare providers across the state. Thank you for the opportunity to be here and testify regarding the DCF budget. As mentioned yesterday, there were some things that DCF mentioned in their budget that they would appreciate support on. We would respect their judgment and support any tools that they feel like they would need to be effective moving forward. But also I'm here today to request the committee's support for an $800,000 investment in our child welfare practitioners. About a decade ago, we shifted our practice primarily because of the number of kids in the child welfare system needing support. We stepped beyond requiring our child welfare practitioners to be licensed social workers. When we did that, we opened that up to folks with other comparable fields of practice. One of the challenges with that is that those fields of practice don't always have hands-on practicum experiences where they get firsthand direct practice experience working with children and families who are at risk. So as we did that, we saw some shift in the competencies of our workforce. That, partnered with the complexities of the families that we are serving today, has created some challenges within our workforce. We are currently right around 30% turnover each year. Each time we have turnover, approximately conservative estimates say that we spend about $35,000 trying to rebuild that position in terms of training, recruitment, onboarding, supervision, and then overtime for the folks that are filling into those empty spaces. So this investment would support a standardized statewide workforce development strategy that would focus on that onboarding, competency building, and focusing on retention of our workforce, and hopefully preventing that turnover. A 10% reduction would ballpark be about a $300,000 savings for us, so something that we could see quickly. It also, beyond the fiscal impact, the competency of our workforce and directly serving kids and families helps our outcome, which ultimately is a fiscal impact. So I'm happy to stand for any questions that the committee might have at the appropriate time.
Committee questions? If they don't, I do. So if I was looking at this as a business investment, there's two things that stick out to me, Crystal. So the 10% reduction in turnover yields the $250,000 savings. So we can somewhat quantify, here's the investment, here's the reward. The other thing, though, when I go down to page 2, I don't recall the exact request when Secretary Howard was here yesterday, but when you interface with the child welfare information system, you you happen to, this open question to you or maybe the staff here, do you remember what that request was from DCF yesterday for CWIS? Amanda?
Chair Bueller, yes. They're requesting that the committee restores their reappropriations because they were using those reappropriations for their first year costs for their CWIS contract.
It's a restoration, okay. Committee, any other questions? Okay, Crystal, thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair.
Appreciate the concise information, too. Okay, next, I know she's here somewhere, Megan Leopold. Used to be up here at the table a year ago. She's now at the well. Megan, welcome. Megan is Senior Policy Advisor, Kansas Action for Children. Nice to see you.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Good afternoon, Chairman Bueller, members of the committee. As you said, I'm Megan Leopold, and I'm here on behalf of Kansas Action for Children. We wanted to communicate our support to add $2.1 million to reduce the SNAP payment error rate and to fully fund the increased state share of administrative costs at $12.1 million SGF in fiscal year 2027. SNAP directly supports the well-being of Kansas kids, that making sure that they have access to food. We know that hunger harms children in every way, from their ability to learn in school to their long-term health. In our state, 11% of households struggle to consistently access enough food, and 13.2% of Kansas children live in families that are below the poverty line. For these families, SNAP is a lifeline. In fiscal year 2025, SNAP helped over 86,000 children across Kansas, ensuring that these children did not start or end their day hungry and had access to adequate nutrition. When children don't know where their next meal is coming from, everything becomes harder. Their focus on school, their emotional regulation, their emotional development, and even their long-term health. But SNAP changes that trajectory by giving families stability, reducing child hunger, and supporting healthier futures. For us, funding SNAP is one of the most direct and cost-effective ways to ensure that Kansas children have what they need to grow, learn, and thrive. It protects their health today and strengthens our state's future. We ask that you ensure the continued success of this important program by allocating the necessary funding. Thank you for your time and your commitment to Kansas, and I will stand for questions at the appropriate time.
Committee questions? Representative King?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Amanda. The $12.1 million in additional administrative, what exactly would be, is that funding the 32 positions? Is that mainly it, or the 23, or?
That is separate than funding those 32 positions. This is for that increased state share of the administrative costs for the program.
This is just the increase in the state share.
Correct.
That's was 50-50 and 70.
And now it's 75. Mm-hmm.
But what will the 12.1 million physically be used for?
That directly for the administration.
That's funding that had been coming from the federal government, and now it will be picked up by the state.
So it's going to go to salaries and wages and technology and all of those other things?
I don't know specifically what it would go to, but my understanding is that it's just a pool of administrative costs that the state's being asked to pick up a larger amount within that pool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still questioning 12 million in administrative, and I really don't know what the administrative side of it is. So if there's anybody that has an answer to that, 6 million is going to go to payroll, 4 million is going to go to technology, 1 million is going to go to this or that, or, I mean, just saying that we're going to pick it up is I'd just be interested to know a little bit more detail about that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Amanda, any thoughts on that?
Chair and Representative, I was just thinking back to Secretary Howard's testimony yesterday. I think she did also comment on funding also goes to the, I call it a bank, I don't think it's quite a bank, but the federal partner who distributes the benefits, they have administrative costs that they charge. There was some IT costs wrapped up into it, but I think it's certainly reasonable if the chair would like to request a breakdown of what those administrative costs are prior to recommendations.
That would be nice. Sufficient, Representative King?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Amanda. Yeah, I hadn't thought about it going to a third party, so it would be interesting to see how much of that would go to a third party, the administrative side of it. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions for Megan before I have one? Okay, so Megan, I want to make sure that I'm reading this right. So the first one, projects to reduce the SNAP error rates, is that like kind of a word for word thing in the keys portion of the DCF budget, or dollar
Right.
for dollar?
Both of these asks are exactly what the agency asked for in their budget. It's just asking the committee to honor those enhancement requests.
Okay, thank you. I guess one more time, any questions for Megan? Megan, thank you so much. Okay, next up, we have Haley Kotler, Campaign Director, Kansas Appleseed. Welcome to committee.
Hear me okay?
Sure.
Thank you. Chair Bueller and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony today in support of the fiscal year 2027 DCF budget enhancements for SNAP. Our bottom line is this is necessary to meet new federal administrative matching requirements and to ensure that Kansas does not face avoidable SNAP benefit cost shifts in the coming years. Adequate administrative funding is essential, of course, to maintain payment accuracy, which the state cannot afford to overlook under the recent federal changes. With H.R. 1, it fundamentally altered how SNAP is funded, and states are now responsible for a significantly larger share of administrative costs, and payment error rates now carry direct financial consequences for the state. While Kansas has taken steps to address errors, the link between administrative capacity and payment accuracy is critical and can't be ignored. Fully funding SNAP administration allows DCF to improve accuracy and protect Kansas families. It's a necessary investment to ensure the program operates correctly under these new federal rules. I urge the committee to support this request so that Kansas can continue to provide SNAP for the thousands of Kansas families who rely on it. And with that, I'll stand for questions. Thank you.
Committee, any questions for Haley? I don't know if I have a question, and I do appreciate the alignment with the DCF's request for SNAP. It sounds like it's very much in line with Kansas Action for Children. And then on a personal note, I do appreciate using the bluff statement. That's very helpful for me. For those in the audience don't know, that's bottom line up front. And as compressed as our budgeting cycle is, to get that out in front is very, very helpful. So thank you. Okay, so committee, I'll give you another opportunity. Any questions for Haley? Representative Steens.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for being here today. I met with actually, she was a constituent of mine from your program, and I learned something new today about, I think she said 1 in 5 children in Kansas, and then I think, a lot of times in Johnson County, we don't always think about hunger, and so she gave me kind of a little breakdown of the hunger that was in my district in particular. So I found that very helpful, and so I guess that's more of a comment, but I was not familiar with your program, so thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you so much, Representative. And if I may share, we had 60 advocates in the building today talking to you all about hunger, so we hope that you were able to meet with them, and we're really proud of the work they do. They were across the state, anywhere from folks working with homeless individuals to food banks, food pantries. We're really proud of their work, and we're glad that they were able to share that today.
So now that I do, thank you. This has triggered a question for me. and I don't know if this is, Haley, if you can answer this, or this is maybe back to DCF, is the administrative match or the cost of the state a set amount? Is it volume dependent, or is it, here's your bill for 2026? Do we know that? And then the second part of that would be, is it volume dependent on SNAP payments? If the total level of SNAP payments go up or down? I'm trying to think, okay, can we phone a friend, Tanya Keys, if you're in the audience?
Thank you.
Thank you, Haley. Oh, did I make sense? So I'm trying to understand if the state's going to get one giant bill, or if the bill can go up, go down, and then also, if just for the sake of numbers, if the state was expected to receive, throw out a number, $500 million in SNAP benefits, can that go up? Can that go down in the fiscal year? And does the administrative match go up or down with it?
Thank you for your questions. I think I understood you had two questions. I don't know the relationship between, if there is a relationship between the set on the administrative match and if it is impacted by the amount or number of benefits or beneficiaries. So we can get that information for you if there is a relationship. So that answers, I think, the first question. And I believe you had a second question that I don't know that
I think those were the two questions. Okay. And so what I'm thinking ahead here is, as this committee evaluates this request, and then I place myself in appropriations, I can almost bet someone will ask the question: Is this a volume dependent relationship? Can this, and if you can help answer any of those, that would be great.
we can get that information for you and for the committee. I don't have that today.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I'm looking down here. Jamie Davis, Branch Director, Foster Adopt Connect. Jamie, welcome to committee.
Thank you, Chairman Bueller and members of the committee. My name is Jamie Davis, and I serve as the Branch Director for Foster Adopt Connect's Wichita office. We've been honored to serve Sedgwick County for just over a year now, with a primary focus on strengthening families and preventing children from entering the foster care system. Foster Adopt Connect is respectfully requesting $500,000 to expand our capacity in Sedgwick County by adding 7 additional parent support and prevention specialists. In Wichita, our program currently has a 100% success rate of foster avoidance. And across our organization, we are achieving a 96% rate with that same model. This is especially valuable to us since 27% of the kids in foster care within our state are connected to Sedgwick County. To put that impact into perspective, in our first year in Sedgwick County, just 2 family specialists prevented 47 children from entering foster care. Since foster care in Kansas costs approximately $60,000 per child per year, which means those 2 staff were able to save the state an estimated $2.4 million. With 7 additional workers, we will be able to save the state approximately $10.3 million while keeping many more children safe with their families. Unlike many prevention programs, we do work farther upstream. We are able to partner with families who are experiencing stress or instability prior to a hotline call or a DCF involvement. While we accept referrals from many resources, including self-referrals, most of our referrals thus far have come from elementary school teachers and school social workers. As a former educator myself, I understand how deeply teachers care about their students and their families. Oftentimes, they're the ones who notice when a child is carrying more than they should, and they want solutions to keep that family together versus risking separating them. Our program provides that through a constructive, supportive, and compassionate manner. The Kansas Legislature has rightly recognized that poverty is not the same as neglect. Our fostering prevention program aligns with that principle by addressing concrete needs and building family strengths, working directly with families in their own home to assess needs, provide support, and teach practical parenting and problem-solving skills. We focus on sustainable, lifelong change rather than short-term fixes. I would like to share a compelling story from this last year. We've met so many amazing, resilient families. There's one in particular, and if I've shared this with any of you, please forgive me. We get a lot of calls for referrals related to truancy. It's a pretty common thing. And so we were able to connect with a family, turned out to be a single mom. Many of our families are. But this particular mom was unable to get her child to school because she was walking through chemo treatment and was very, very sick. We worked with the school district to see if busing was an option, but she lived within the 2.5-mile flagpole rule, and that would have been an expensive option for her. So we were able to lean into some other options and get her a bicycle, but then to continue walking with that mom and support her through her journey and just strengthening her skills as a parent and her confidence in her place where she was planted with her family. She's been a great success story. In summary today, this year of service in Sedgwick County, which we know has a disproportionate number of kids in care, we successfully kept 100% of the children we worked with out of foster care. And with this $500,000 investment and 7 additional workers, we hope to keep approximately 196 more children safe and with their families this next year, while also saving the state approximately $10.3 million. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to stand for questions when appropriate.
See Representative King leaning into the microphone. Representative King, question?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Jamie. With 7 additional staff, would you need more office space, or where does your staff office at? And can you tell me a little bit about that, please?
Sure. We have an office space in Wichita, and we are not at capacity yet. And we do have some creative things that we've talked through in order to fit additional staff there. Long-term, as we grow, I would love for us to grow into a larger space, but we have thought through those pieces.
Mr. Chair, can I have one more question? That
You're good, you're good. No,
that means, Mike, you're done.
that means the talking part's done. That means we're in, if we got there, we got questions, so we're still good.
Okay.
If you hear a frog or something else, then we're really in trouble.
Right.
Okay. Representative King?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Jamie, tell me a little bit more specific about where your 2 people are located at now, and a little bit about the service that you have there.
Sure. So our 2 staff are at our office, which is near Central and Rock in Wichita. They do go out to the families' homes, though, so there is a little travel. We find it very beneficial for them to meet with families in their homes. We use a parenting curriculum. So once we've stabilized that family and addressed issues, barriers, transportation, housing, our main focus for being in the home for about a year is to walk through our parenting curriculum, which focuses on, it's a strength-based program that focuses on a variety of different constructs. And then once they graduate from our program, we have about 6 months of aftercare. A lot of what we do really centers around relationships. These families who are walking through hard times and poverty, there's a lot of isolation that we've seen. So being able to connect them to our team, but also with other community partners to widen their circle of positive influence is a win-win.
I still haven't got the answer that I want you to say.
I'm so sorry.
Don't you office out of a care center, a resource center, where people come and is it clothing or a food pantry?
Correct, yes.
Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Our office has 3 programs total. Our organization has approximately a mini of 20, but our office has 3. So this program we're talking about is one of the 3. Our behavior intervention is the other. And then we do have a clothing and hygiene closet. And that's available to any of our clients to come. Everything we do is free. Come shop. But it's also available for anyone who's fostering, they've adopted, or maybe it's a kinship placement. We want to be a tangible support to those families doing the hard work. And it's also a trauma-informed place to land and kind of exhale for the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. And I thought that was a good use of resources and a place where they the help and support for the entire family can be met. And so, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for answering that. I was
Sure,
trying to
thank
get you
you.
to get there.
Didn't quite get the tee up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Representative Wolcott.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your testimony today. I kind of got a pre-question and then a follow-up, kind of the main question. First one is, how long has the organization been around? And the reason I ask that is when you have clients that you engage with, I assume most of the services are counseling type of services that you work with them on your program. Is it like an indefinite program where they're with you year after year after year, or is it kind of they go through, graduate, and then you're able to bring on another member that's in need?
That's a great question. Our organization as a whole just celebrated our 25th anniversary. While it started in Missouri, it now expands into Kansas, and we have 18 locations now. The goal is for our families to be empowered, stabilized, and fly. We will always be there if they need us, but the goal is to set them up for long-term success so that we can launch them and bring in additional people. So for example, we just kind of hit our 1-year anniversary of seeing clients, and we do have our first few families that are getting ready to graduate and enter into that 6 month of aftercare.
Representative Wolcott.
Thank you. You've been around for 25 years or 20 years. Is there kind of an average time frame that most of your clients have, hey, it's normally just a 1 year plus 6 months, or do you have the majority of them are with you for 3 to 5 years type of window?
That's a fantastic question. I don't have the exact data. I'm happy to go back and pull that for you, especially from our programs elsewhere that have been doing this much longer than our 1 year. Our 1 year of data might not be able to fully represent what you're looking for, but I'm happy to get that for you. Thank you.
We have one more, Representative Rivas.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I've got a series of questions here, if you don't mind. So,
Proceed.
I'm not going to grill you.
Okay.
So, I read through your information, and I was thinking about this. So we've talked a lot about the foster kids, foster families, and all that. So the 7 people you want to hire, plus the ones already working there, what do you have in place for them for we're talking about the training, and you're dealing with tough situations and intervention kind of situations. So is there counseling or support for your staff?
Sure.
Because I know they deal with some tough stuff.
Sure.
So how does this all work so that you can not
That's
have turnover and that they know what they're doing?
That's a great question. So everyone who starts has a lot of training. I would add to that, in addition to training, the majority of our staff also have a lived experience. So we automatically understand a little bit more of what our families are going through from different perspectives. So for example, my family did foster care up until 2018, and I've mentored a variety of women who've aged out of the system. Ongoing support, therapy is always something that is provided by our organization if needed, and time away if needed. Mental health is of our staff, and self-care is something we talk about on a regular basis. So ensuring that we're caring for ourselves, but encouraging us to care for each other too, because the work is hard.
So those costs are built into your systems? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
I have Representative Orpeza first, then Representative Steeds.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your presentation. Very interesting. My question is in regards to the root cause analysis of why there's such an increase of foster needs in Sedgwick County. Do we know the why?
I feel like that's kind of the million-dollar question. I don't have exact data on why that's the case, and there may be others here who have bits and pieces to present that story. I know that at the first Joint Committee on Child Welfare that I came to, they mentioned that 90% of the calls that come into the hotline end up being unsubstantiated. I know from the families we've interacted with, there seems to be a really big need for our community understanding poverty and the barriers around that. We've been able to take our team through some local training in order to continue our understanding of what poverty is. But there are a lot of barriers related to poverty that seem to be a consistent piece of what we see in our families. But I do think it's the million-dollar question that a lot of people would love to figure out in Sedgwick County.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Steens?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So you guys, I've never heard of your program, or I had, and I wasn't familiar with it. And the one thing that really stood out to me that I don't know if everyone had a chance in this committee to listen, was that in the past it was do nothing or hotline someone. So I think that's great that you're in there for that support, because as we discussed with Jeremy, I believe that it was that came to see me, that poverty is not neglect. And a lot of these people just need a hand up. So I think you're filling a gap there, right? That's much needed.
Absolutely.
And getting those families the support that they need, because as you mentioned, lots of people are isolated. They don't know their neighbors as well, or maybe they don't have that family support, an extension of someone to help them. So I just want to applaud you for that. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and I guess before we roll into our next one, I'm going to try to summarize this a little bit. So if they're probably in your I'm going to call it your bluff statement, but if you could email me, the committee, et cetera, if you just bullet point list, what are the avoided cost avoidance? So I can, when we say if we invest this $500,000 in the state of Kansas, it's going to save $10.3 million. And these are the avoided costs. So just nothing real explicit, but that. And then the second thing is, and I think Representative Steen's touched on it just a little bit, why Sedgwick County? It's where the need is, but if you have it or not, that's fine. But I mean, that would be a question. I can see that question in appropriation. Well, why Sedgwick County and why not Barton? Why not Leavenworth?
Per capita, Sedgwick County just continues to be one of the highest per capita, perhaps in the nation. But for us to be able to come on either side of that and get in front of it and swim farther upstream, we do feel like that is a innovative way to positively impact that number.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you. And committee, if there are no more questions, thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
Are you good? Okay, so there are no questions, and we are going to move next to Carla Hagemeister, Executive Director of Flint Hills Breadbasket. Carla?
I have a 17-year-old, and her alarm in the morning is that duck call. And I was feeling a little bit traumatized, thinking, who do I need to wake up right now? But you're all awake, and that's even better. Thank you so much, Representative Bueller, and all the representatives here today. Again, my name is Carla Hagemeister. I am the Executive Director of the Flint Hills Breadbasket. We are located in Manhattan, Kansas. We have been around since 1982. So we came up through grassroots, like many organizations did, addressing food insecurity in the nation. We have a long history of that, and proud of the generous community that we come from. But we know that we're just one piece of that equation in addressing food security. The breadbasket just last year, in calendar year 2025, served just shy of 3,000 unduplicated households. And out of that population, only 19% of those families, so 576, receive SNAP benefits. So we know that for a portion of our families that we are serving, SNAP is an important piece of the equation. There's another portion of the population who maybe receives SNAP benefits but doesn't need our additional support. And all of those things of the breadbasket, SNAP, school lunches, common table community meal that serves a free meal every night of the week, 365 days of the year in Riley County. All of those things come together in conjunction with the private, public, charitable donations, churches. All of those things come together to ensure that our families have sufficient food for their well-being, whether it's children or all the way up to senior citizens. One of the things that we do at the breadbasket is support people with their SNAP applications. We know that the SNAP application today is 32 pages long. It is not short, it is not simple, and many of our families, people that we are serving, are trying to fill out that application, maybe at the public library, maybe off of a laptop that's got some outdated software on it, but oftentimes on a cell phone. They need to upload documents to include leases, bank statements, car values. They are uploading documents, they're uploading information. They need to scan information, they need to download from this site and pull from that site and get it all into the system so that the DCF worker can then assess their eligibility through that application process. So we know for a large population, that's a pretty daunting task from the very beginning. And we're really happy and honored at the Breadbasket to have the technical support, to have staff members that are equipped to sit alongside somebody that needs that support to help them make it through the process. Because for many, the process itself selects them out of even applying for it and completing the application. So we are here today, I'm here today to just express our support for that DCF technology and DCF administrative programming, realizing that these are human people that are applying for the services, but it's also human people and technology and all of those technical pieces that go into determining the eligibility at the other side of the equation. And we need both of those things. Again, just like we need the full system within our communities to work together, we need both sides of the equation between the administration of the program and the people who need the program to work together to, again, let's put in that investment now so that in the long run we can keep that error rate down, reduce it further, and save our dollars in the long run. I don't know how I did that.
That is worthy of a mic drop, so just saying.
And I'm happy to stand for any questions.
Any questions? Representative Reese?
Yes.
Thank you so much for explaining about the 32 pages and everything else that's involved with that. So what is your error rate? What are your employees' error rate?
We don't have an error rate because in our program as a nonprofit food system, we actually operate off of do you live in our geographic service area and are you experiencing food insecurity? Because we are coming through that charitable system, we take a self-report and we don't turn people away.
Another question?
Sure, Representative Reese.
Thank you. So just trying to think, with this error rate and what it takes in order to download all kinds of documents and stuff. And knowing that our data system it needs to be upgraded.
Yes.
Do you see that the SNAP application process can be totally automated, or does it need a person there to also, or, I guess the person that is inputting all the data, do you think that's a better way of completing these SNAP applications, lowering the error rate? Because you have a person, a warm person that is there versus just sitting in front of a computer and downloading
I don't know that I have the direct experience to tell you that with true accuracy. I would say that it is coming from most people, more often than not, I believe, are using the online system as opposed to the paper form. That's what we encourage and we help people navigate. We have a standalone computer at our location. We have a scanner because we know that it's actually going to get processed more quickly if that's the way it's submitted. So you have on the front end somebody typing in the numbers. Then you have your data submission of your documents that are then going to be balanced against each other. And then you have on the back end, you've got your person evaluating and doing the interview. So I think that there's always going to be a need for some human interaction with that because there also is a phone interview, voice to voice, to make sure that there is understanding of if there's questions, just the same way you guys have questions of us, a person reviewing an application could have questions of that applicant to make sure that their application is clear.
do you know on the average how long it takes to do an application?
I believe that the deadline for DCF to have an application processed is 30 days. Now, you could anecdotally be asking us anytime during the year, especially in years past, and say, how long does it truly take? And we would say it's outside of that range.
Thought so. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Representative Ballard?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, Representative Luis asked some of my questions but this is the first time that I have seen it be 32 pages long. I've heard a lot about it. We know that every state is having problems with this. If it was 32 pages long, I'd be having a problem with it too.
Yes, ma'am.
Look at it. So I'm just looking at this, and I think we begin to wonder why there is an error rate. You know, I do grants, and often when I get a grant and you have it, I could spend 10 hours on 12 pages, depending on what all they're asking for. But when you say 32, sitting at a computer for 32 pages, they tell you every 15 minutes, save.
Yes, ma'am.
Save, save. If you don't, you lose all of this.
There's just opportunities.
Right, so it is. So I've never seen one, but Mr. Chair, I'm gonna ask, could we all see what those 32 pages really look like when we keep talking about what the errors are? Unless you're really brilliant and extremely patient, you're gonna have some errors.
Amanda.
So that would be one of them, but you've seen that. Would you say you could streamline that, or is that information that's being requested? Is it absolutely necessary to make sure that you are getting the person who needs this kind of help, or is it to discourage you along the way to say, forget it, I can do without it?
Yes, and both or. I think that obviously some of those pages are going to be determined by family size. A larger a family is, or the more complicated a family situation is, the more documentation, the more information they're going to need. Are there ways to simplify the application process? Yes, I think so. And I think that there could be good work done at simplifying that. I think the challenge is making sure that it stays within federal guidelines, state guidelines, making sure that what we're asking for at the DCF level is in alignment with all of those things. And sometimes that's a moving target.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Committee, any other questions? Carl, I want to thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
And if we can get if there is a boilerplate version of the application, it'd be informational to have. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, moving next, we have Elizabeth Keever, Harvesters Community Food Network. That's okay, Liz.
So, thank you, Chairman Bueller and members of the committee. I really am grateful for the opportunity to testify. My name is Elizabeth Keever, and I'm here on behalf of Harvesters, the Community Food Bank, the Kansas Food Bank, and Second Harvest Community Food Bank. Together, our organizations serve food insecure Kansans in all 105 counties. Last year alone, our network of partner agencies and pantries like the Incredible Flint Hills Bread Basket distributed more than 46 million pounds of food across the state. We're here to say we strongly support the FY27 DCF budget enhancements requested for SNAP Food Assistance Program. SNAP is our country's most effective anti-hunger program we have. It delivers approximately $404 million in federal grocery benefits to Kansans each year, supporting children, seniors, and people with disabilities and working families. These benefits are spent quickly and locally, with 94% of those benefits being spent in the same month that they were issued. It strengthens local economies, it strengthens local grocery stores, and in fact, for every $1 spent in SNAP benefits, it generates up to $1.80 back into those local economies. And at the same time, you all know this, you hear this from your constituents every single day, Kansans are under real pressure. Food prices are up 30% over the last 5 years. And just this last month, the consumer index pricing came out, and we saw the largest increase since 2022. For low-income families, food already consumes 30% of their household income. And as costs rise, more of our neighbors are turning to our network of food pantries for assistance, but our charitable food system is stretched thin. Food banks play a critical role, but we cannot replace SNAP. For every one meal we distribute through our network, SNAP provides 9.
If SNAP is weakened, we simply do not have the capacity to fill that gap. Congress fundamentally changed SNAP in 2025 through H.R. 1, otherwise known as the One Big Beautiful Bill, shifting a much larger cost of the administrative share to the states, and potentially the benefit cost as well. Without full state funding, cuts to staff and technology at TCF would jeopardize the program access, increase errors as they go through all 37 pages, and ultimately cost more for Kansans. The investment requested today are smart, preventative, and fiscally responsible. They protect Kansas taxpayers, strengthen the program accuracy, and ensure eligible families receive the help we need. So we respectfully urge you to support this budget request and open for any questions.
Committee, questions? Representative Ballard?
Thank you very much. Ms. Cuber, you're familiar with that form.
Yes, very familiar with this form.
How long would you say approximately it takes you to complete it?
So we have staff who take calls every single day to help people complete it, and those calls can last over an hour to complete it. And a lot of times, one of the challenges is just finding the vast amount of supplemental documentation to upload with this application. So making sure that you have, statements of the value of your vehicle, making sure that you have uploads of the totality of your lease agreement. So it's quite burdensome to pull together all the information on top of actually taking the time to fill this thing out and to fully comprehend and read all of it. I mean, it is no small, short document.
How does a person with a disability, whether it's your hand, write it, you don't own a computer, but you have to be able to get to the place that has a computer and you don't have a car?
Yeah, so that's a great question. There are people across the state that are trained to help people enroll into this program, social workers at a variety of different, all of our partner agencies like the Flint Hill Breadbasket, as well as our staff who help people in a variety of different ways. I know that, I know that our team helps people who, for some reason or another, need, if they don't have the ability to vocalize, they'll call in with someone who can transcribe from the computer and be able to do that application over the phone with them and support with them. I mean, you have a whole different host of social workers and staff trained with this application to help get them enrolled. So we work with a variety of different partners to make sure that if an organization works with those with special needs, then training them through the application and they can adapt their enrollment process to the needs of that client. So, yeah.
Representative King?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Once a person is enrolled, how often do you go back and update their eligibility or their requirements? Is that once a year, once every 5 years, once every 6 months?
I'm going to turn around and make sure I have this right. I believe it's once every 6 months for recertification. Every year, sorry, every year.
So every year someone would have to, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, can I follow up? Thank you. So every year someone would go through and it would be not starting from zero, but just looking at the data and updating that.
Recertifying, making sure that the information is still all accurate.
Does your organization or any of the organizations you represent use AI, artificial intelligence, to potentially upload these documents or get a good starting point?
Currently, we do not use AI to support this, I think largely because of just the nature of the documents. For example, a copy of a lease might look, there's a lack of uniformity across that. So I think that's the challenge of just one utility bill versus one value statement of a vehicle versus a lease, the level of documentations that are required in supporting documentation for this vary. So right now, there is not an AI tool, to my knowledge, that we use in order to help that application through. But I know that one of the parts of this is to help technology enhancements. So I will let DCF speak to what those technology enhancements are. But to my knowledge, not that I'm aware of.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Committee, any other questions? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. I appreciate it very much. And then we are going to move on to Mary Shannon, President and CEO of Kansas Big Brothers and Big Sisters. I saw her. There she is. Mary, welcome.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Subcommittee, for your care, your leadership, your patience, and your service. A few weeks ago, on December 29th, I received a phone call that reminds me in a very heartbreaking and real way why case-managed one-to-one mentorship matters and why our youth need hope and this program now more than ever. Former big sister Dana called to tell me that her former little sister, Sarah, who had aged out of our program a while back, had taken her own life. Sarah and her sister Judy, who was my first little sister in the program when I joined this organization, came into our program at ages 12 and 10 after surviving extreme trauma. They would have been ACEs 10 of 10, including escaping a cult leader in New Mexico that was later raided by federal authorities. Their childhood was defined by fear and instability, not the support you and I hope for our children and our grandchildren. When Sarah's younger sister, Judy, called the office looking for me, she was 19, planning a funeral and an autopsy for her sister. And in the middle of catching up, she asked me, "Do you think God will forgive me for not trying harder to save her?" That is hopelessness, and that is what too many of our Kansas youth are navigating without guidance, without stability, without someone consistently showing up for them. Sorry. But for a time, Sarah knew unconditional love because a Kansan by the name of Dana Sykes, who ironically is married to Brian Sykes, CEO of Cargill, showed up for her as a big sister. And that relationship mattered to Sarah. It gave her dignity, it gave her belonging, and it gave her hope for longer than this world actually ever expected of her. Judy, her little sister, said most of Sarah's best days were because of Dana and Brian, but she just ultimately could not get past her demons. So on Friday, Dana and I will drive to northwest rural Kansas for Sarah's service, and in a few weeks, Judy is actually going to come stay with me for a while, just collect her bearings, breathe, and for respite. My apologies. But we have to do more. We can't stop. Today in Kansas, we actually serve almost 2,000 Kansas youth. Average ACEs score, you all, of 5. But since I last testified last year, we've added 700 more kids to our waiting list who are waiting for this program. They're waiting for a one-to-one case management mentor. Kansas is our 37th least populated state, but we have the 10th highest youth suicide rate for ages 15 to 24. Hospitalizations for suicidal children, or suicidal ideation among children ages 6 to 12 have tripled in the last decade. One-to-one mentoring overwhelmingly works when it is professionally case managed and supported. Case management is the largest cost driver, but also the largest quality and outcomes driver. So when we appeared before you last year to request funds and present testimony, and you graciously gave us some funding, we promised you transparency, we promised you accountability if you approved our request. I'm a big, firm believer of do what it is you're going to say and say what it is you're going to do, and don't screw it up. So I'm pleased to report to you that with your support from the funds you granted to us last year, we've measured success on our 7 agreed-upon accountability measures. And among you served under these funds, 0 matches have closed, 0. We actually have one of the longest match length relationships in the United States among 233 affiliate Big Brothers, Big Sisters. 94% achieved relational productivity. 94% completed their case management match support contacts. 97% exceeded their youth development plan, which they form with their BIG as well, or their mentor, we call them BIGs, as well as their case manager. 78% maintained or improved school connectedness. 99% maintained or improved outcomes related to juvenile justice contact. That one gets me because 55% of the kids we serve have a nuclear family member who's incarcerated. They're not repeating cycles. Independent long-term studies show that littles become adults who are more likely to graduate high school, attend college or trade school, gain living wage employment, and vote and participate civically. Nearly half earn $75,000 household incomes as adults. Harvard conducted a 35-year longitudinal study, not on just Big Brothers Big Sisters, but specifically our program, a 35-year longitudinal study. And what they discovered was that overwhelmingly, in the majority of cases, littles actually had incomes as adults that mirrored that of their bigs, not the household into which they were born. Again, remarkable, average ACEs score of 5. So we are requesting $1 million. We want to do that, 3 different things with that. We want to continue the current caseload that, for the matches that were the subject of the original funding. We want to remove more youth from our wait list. We now have 1,500 Kansas kids on that wait list. And we want a pilot service in 3 rural communities in Northeast and Northwest Kansas. We're looking at Jackson, Jefferson, and Russell. I stand before you today not just as an employee, but also, actually, sadly, as a graduate of what was once the SRS, now DCF program. I was a foster kid in the state of Kansas. And so I just want to say, on behalf of the kid I was, the kids we serve, truly thank you for your investment and for your care.
Thank you. Committee questions? Representative Steens?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mary Shannon, for your presentation and that heartbreaking story. That must be really rough, and I'm so sorry for you and Senator Sykes' loss. I just have a quick question about the ACEs score, because I know we've said that before. Yeah. Could you expand like how that's scored exactly, like when you were saying 5 or greater, but what you weigh into
Sure.
that? Thank you.
So an ACEs score, it is an internationally recognized assessment of childhood difficulties and trauma, right? If you have an ACEs score of 0, man, you have entered the world like you are gold. You're good. You're solid, right? If you are a 10, you have every factor of adversity, including incarcerated parents, childhood abuse, so on and so forth, parents with significant mental health issues, so on and so forth. 12% of our nation's youth has an ACEs score of 4 or greater, 12%. If you are a kid that has an ACEs score of 6 or greater, and without any kind of intervention, you can literally statistically shave 20 years off of your biological life. It's not nothing. So for us, we at Kansas Big Brothers Big Sisters, we don't want to compete with other programs. We only want to do the one thing that we do and do it really well. And we want to do it for the kids for where there aren't necessarily other programs like ours, there aren't, in that one-to-one mentorship space. Not only are the outcomes significant, not only are the outcomes there, and we have proved that longitudinally, right? But to us, it's also critically important because essentially what we're saying to you is invest today or we repeat generational cycles, right? So our hope is that we're taking kids that are currently, quite frankly, in many cases, a part of the tax burden and converting them to the future tax base. That's what we're saying. It is the right thing to do. It's the socially correct thing to do. It is the economically prudent thing to do. It is our future workforce, our future pipeline, and it's why we're here today.
I'll start with Representative Wilcott and then Representative King.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a similar question to what I had earlier. When a youth gets involved with your program, is there an average age or window that they get involved? And then how long are they typically in the program before they age out or graduate through that?
Yes, that's such a great question. So we enroll youth as young as age 5, although that is such a small percent. Typical average age of enrollment is 9 years of age, which is a really critical age because that's the point where, I mean, you're going just beyond self-worth and self-esteem, but you are now leaning into choices and into post-high school and life choices, right? I would also say to you that over half of our matches are teens, 13 and older. Part of that is that we do enroll teenagers. Part of it is also the fact that we do have an extremely long match length compared to the national average. And keep in mind that, a lot of the kids that we serve, they can be a transient population. So that is one of the things that reduces that average match length. But we're at almost 4 years, which is really unheard of. Additionally, we also serve kids, and we started doing this, it would have been, I believe, 7 years ago that the board voted, and in fact, this past year, we graduated our first class of 25-year-old alums. So as long as they're enrolled in our program before the age of 18, if they want to stick with their mentor, we will continue to provide case management and services through the age of 25, because I'm looking at some of y'all, you have kids who are in that span between 18 and 25, and they still really are just kids, right? And they need guidance. I'm sorry, but they do. My daughter's 30, and she's still sometimes a little clueless. I hope she's not watching this, but it's true. And so, sticking with them and then getting them into that career pipeline, our vision at Kansas Big Brothers Big Sisters is that every youth has a living wage job by age 25. End stop. So when you think about our organization, we're also a part of the economy of the state. We're not only saving taxpayer dollars, we're producing more taxpayers.
Representative King.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mary. In your testimony, it looks like the appropriation would be from the TANF ending budget. And so this is not a SGF ask then?
That is correct, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Ballard.
One of the things I'm trying to remember, especially when the bigs,
Yes, ma'am.
are all bigs paid, or are some of them volunteers? How does that work?
That's a great question. So first of all, Kansas Big Brothers Big Sisters, a multitude of years ago, we had high schoolers serving as bigs. Not a good idea if your average ACES score is 5. So we moved years ago to it only being adults. Every single one of our bigs, and we actually have nearly 2,000 matches, but almost 3,000 bigs, because in our system, you can be matched as an individual, as a couple, or as a family, because God knows our kids need to know what a family construct looks like. Every single one of them are volunteers.
Yeah. So that's a lot of volunteers.
It is a lot of volunteers, and man, we are rigorous, not just in background check, that's a check mark, but the case management is absolutely critical. It is our front line to safety, to quality, and to outcomes.
And how long is their training process?
Yeah, a year. It's not nothing. And then I really appreciate the question you asked earlier about, it was actually you, Representative Rivas, about what do we do with our staff, because the amount of trauma, we have a lot of foster care kids in our program as well. The amount of trauma that our employees experience is unbelievable. And so there is a lot that we have built into our infrastructure, including a really solid EAP program to walk alongside our staff and to actually provide trauma-informed care for those who are dealing with, trauma victims. So.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Wilcott, and then Representative Reese.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You talked about that you're looking to expand the services in the areas you're at, as well as new areas. Do you have a breakdown of what your ask what that is, of the 3 new counties or the 3 new areas? Is that 50% of this ask? Is that?
It's 1/3. I like easy math. Math is important, and therefore I have to be able to explain it. It's a third that would go to sustaining the current matches. Keep in mind that the longer the matches last, right, just like any relationship, the longer you're together, hopefully, the more impact there is. And all of our research mets that out. So the first bucket would go to sustaining the matches that were created under this. The second is to pull more kids off the wait list and start a new cycle. And then the third would be to really figure out in a smart business way how to expand services to rural counties that often have no youth services at all, that need us, and to do it smartly, because in many of those rural counties, they don't have the businesses. They don't have the corporations, not even necessarily individuals who could pay for our case managers to come in. So how do we do that in such a way that we do it with our current infrastructure, but mushroom it in such a way that we can absorb those costs? So having that, the initial bucket to be able to help us explore that, begin service, and then be able to roll future costs into the rest of our system as a statewide agency would be really helpful. Yes.
Representative Reese and Representative Rivas. Then I think hopefully we'll get back on track.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're explaining really well. This is why the questions are coming. The volunteers, the bigs, do they know what their ACES score is?
We actually do. We evaluate that upon intake. The average hours that it takes to enroll a volunteer is 6 hours. It's not nothing. Going back to what I said earlier, and I mean no disrespect, but I do like facts and I do like data and research. 95% of sex offenders can actually pass a background check because they just haven't been caught yet, right? So all of that case management time that, for example, we are pouring into really getting to know a volunteer. We go into their homes. We talk to their employer. We talk to, and we separate, if they're married, we separate their spouses into other rooms, and we ask the spouse, would they actually make a good volunteer? We talk to a minimum of 3 additional friends in their life who can provide testimony accordingly. And so we get a really good picture beyond just them providing their ACES score and us asking them directly by looking at the whole of the situation. It's really important. Our volunteers have to be outstanding.
Okay, Representative Rivas.
Just a real quick one. So you have a lot of volunteers. Do you have any dollar value on, if you had to pay these people, what would it cost? Can you give us that metric, or if you don't have that, that'd be helpful?
Yeah, so I can.
In this much money, we're really getting this much in value.
Yes, sir. I can tell you that last year, 180,000 volunteer hours. 180,000 volunteer hours. So if you want to do simple, quick math on that, based upon minimum wage, what is that like? It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. 180,000. Actually, I think it was like 178.5 something. So I'm rounding up by a few hours. Yeah, it's not nothing.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mary. I think with that, we are going to roll into, next one up is Patrick Jonas, the CEO of the Cerebral Palsy Research Foundation. I think many would remember you from last year.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I don't know if it would, we tried to follow the criterion you had set. Would it help if a lot of the committee members may not remember what we did last year, but I want to thank you for doing it. Sure. We started a program because at Cerebral Palsy Research, I had been requested by a number of parents. They had younger people with disabilities that didn't have an opportunity they wanted to know if their younger person with disability could live on their own. And there was no program in the state of Kansas, nothing in around Wichita area. We looked in the region. We even sent staff to Florida. We couldn't find a place, so we built one. We funded it for about 3 years. It cost us over $500,000. We couldn't afford to do it on our own anymore. And we had focus groups with the parents. It was we came up with the program is about 6 weeks long. We allowed them to live in our accessible housing areas in Wichita. And we asked you guys if we could assist with, if you would assist us with a 3-year pilot. You said yes, thank you very much. We're about midway through that. And at $215,000 a year, we're paying a third of the cost of the program, so we're kicking in 115-ish. And we're partnering with the Wichita Independent Living Resource Center, and Wichita State University is actively doing a research project as we're doing this. So we only have about a half year of data with the initial project, but we're looking for funding for 2 years of the pilot. And believe me, we'll be coming back for year 3 if at all possible. So to the question that Chairman had asked, the request for $215,000 for the second year of the pilot, we're funding a third of it. Now, as far as cost savings, if we can keep some of these folks, these are young kids, off of a waiver, you're looking at $29,000 if you're on a PD waiver. You're looking at $70,000 a year if you're on an IDD waiver. Now, you've got the community sport waiver. It's a $20,000 waiver. We had 50 kids that have come through so far. Some of these are not part of this first-year pilot, but we have data on those kids. 42 have completed the 6-week program, and 12 of the kids aren't even on Social Security disability. I mean, we're catching these kids before they run to the federal government and ask for a disability check. You may not know it, I'm old, okay? I'm pre-waiver old, okay? And with that, used to say they live at home, kids with or folks with disabilities, or they had to be in a state institution. That is not true. There's a whole swath of folks with disabilities, some of them good friends of mine, and still that are in between. They aren't dependent upon supports. They need opportunity in between. They go to school, they go to college, they go work with like everybody else does. They're not going to be dependent, and you need to show them, you need to have programs that gives them an opportunity to live like everybody else. To put them in a category of live at home or live in an institution or on a waiver, there's a whole lot of folks that don't want those options. You need to show them they can do that. That's what this program allows. Happy to stand for any questions. Oh, by the way, Representative Ballard, they check, WSU reviews these kids 1 week, 3 months, 6 months, and 1 year. I remember you asked that question last year, so I threw it in there.
Committee, any questions of Jonas? I'm sorry. Representative Ballard?
Would you just highlight again that 215,000 that we got of what you're asking, you say, what the costs? What's your total cost this year you're requesting?
215,000 last year. It'll be 215 this year, and I'll be back next year asking for 215,000. I guarantee you. We're gonna the cost center is closer to about 340-ish. We pay that third. We pay like WSU's consulting and those types of things to do the research. Oh, by the way, the last page, they're showing some pretty good research from their end. And if you're in the research business, which I know many are, they're showing some demonstration of statistical significance in self-determination and financial literacy and some of these other things that these kids are developing, which is important on the academia side that validates some of this training that we're doing with these people. So
I know what it is. The question I was wanting, it's on your second page, 1, 2, 3, the third paragraph. To date, 50 clients have participated in the program. 42 completed the 6-week assessment, and 21 are now living outside of their parental homes.
correct.
Without some of this training, they would not be self-reliant. Am I correct?
I would say absolutely, probably. I can't guarantee that because we don't know, but more than likely, yes. I mean, I hate to think we're doing all this for nothing, but yes, I would say it's very likely because in visiting with parents and visiting with the young adults themselves, it's amazing how much more ready and more confident they are after attending the program than not.
And I would verify that because I'm thinking of two people in Lawrence, Kansas that had cerebral palsy. And he made the comment several times because I ended up taking him home Friday from an event. It was extremely cold. And he said, without the help that we get, I wouldn't feel confident to even come out this morning because last Saturday was 16 degrees.
Yeah.
And he used a bus system to get there. And so we took him home. And he said, you know, there was a time when I didn't want to live.
I believe it.
And he said, now I live in a duplex. When I took him home, that's the first time, and I've known him for years, that he is in a duplex. And he said, and when I get out the car, I go through my garage door because it's easier for me because he has bars and things that he can get there. And he says, that's why I come to things like this because I want to be a part of what other people do.
You bet.
Thank you.
Committee, any other questions of Patrick? Okay, Patrick, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I think the next one we have is David Kemp. He's parent of the Cerebral Palsy Research Foundation. Remember you from last year, too.
Yes, I was here last year, and thank you, Representative Bueller, and thank you, other committee members, for having me again. I'm here to talk about the GILA program at CPRF, the Guided Independent Living Assessment, which my son was a part of. My son is, you were talking about gaps, and my son is a perfect example of somebody who is completely in the gaps, always has been. My son was diagnosed with high-functioning autism at about year 3. He really has a lot of anxiety, and if he was in this committee meeting member now, he would be in and out of that door because he'd be so anxious because this is a new situation for him. He would be pacing out there, and then he would come in and sit, and then he would go out and pace some more. He is not intellectually disabled per se. He's not intellectually huge, but he does not have mental illness. So he doesn't fit into the categories oftentimes that you would see people who benefit from like Catch or Starkey or some of the other developmental services that you see. He has autism. And when he went to school, school was a struggle for him. He was often, he was ridiculed, he was bullied, because he looks normal, but he is not neurotypical. And I think we see a lot of people like him now, a lot of people that have high-level autism. What GILA did, I'm a parent, obviously, that's, I live in Overland Park now. But what GILA provided, is he still living at home? He still lives at home. But the measure can't be whether he lives on his own. What it did was, it was a 6-week program where we dropped him off at a house that he stayed, that he had a roommate that he didn't know. He had to go to training about a number of different things that we've never even thought about, to be honest with you. He had to learn bus schedules. They evaluated him for what, how he interacted with strangers, how he interacted with other adults, whether he was going to be taken advantage of. He graduated, though. He was one of the graduates, and I couldn't be more proud of him. And to be honest with you, I didn't know if he could do it. I honestly didn't think that I think there was a lot of doubt between his mom and I whether he would be, able to make it. And what this program did for us is it gave him a lot of confidence that, hey, I can live with somebody I don't know. I can share a kitchen with somebody I don't know. I can clean up after myself. And then I can learn schedules, and I can learn all kinds of things that he didn't know before, number one. Number two is The Gila assessment gave us like very precise criteria of what he needs to be when he makes the transition. And I'm like Pat, I'm an old man, so it's only a matter of time before he does transition to a living environment. And we have very precise information about what Ethan can do, what Ethan can't do, what Ethan needs help on, and to make him successful. And yes, you know, he lives with me. Like last year, I would say that that's more me. And I appreciate your funding of this program. It's such a niche, and it's such an important program. So I'm willing to take questions.
Committee, any questions of David? No, David, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it very much. Okay, we're going to move to our last conferee today. It's Deborah Factor, Chief Executive Officer of Youth Corps Ministries. Deborah, welcome to committee.
Thank you very much, Representative Bueller and committee. Thank you for having me today. I'm here to talk about Core Community. For 2 years, you have given us $350,000 to strengthen, stabilize, and expand our work in rural Kansas around poverty. I want to start by thanking you for that. I want to share with you some of our results that we have gotten. So I'm back to ask for another $350,000 for a third year with a consideration of an additional $150,000 to help us move a little faster and grow a little quicker. We're a grassroots movement. We're a weekly program. Whenever we go into a community, we're hiring staff within that community. It's a weekly program. And then our staff are working with individuals in poverty, helping them understand the barriers, holding them back, and helping them remove the barriers. So in rural towns, we don't have a lot of the services that have been discussed today. So our coaches are doing things like helping people fill out food stamps, helping people get driver's license, helping people. We've helped 36 people now get their children back. We're doing a little bit of everything in our rural towns around folks in poverty. Our end game is to help people stabilize and then actually watch people walk out of poverty. If you go down to Transform Lives, in the last since October 24, we've had another 142 graduates, totaling 744. We've impacted another 164 kids, totaling 851. We have 69 more out of financial poverty, totaling 292. Our graduates have increased their annual incomes another 1.7 million. We're now at 7.6 million annual income increase among our families, and our graduates have decreased welfare assistance another 81,000. That's annually, so we're now sitting at 388,000 in welfare assistance decrease annually. We've taken some of these dollars to become even more strategic in growth. This last year, we have marketed in 6 different counties, and we have 3 more in development right now. Our anticipation, and your dollars have done this, we anticipate to launch in Scott and Saline County in 2026 in the fall. We are on target to launch potentially 2 in Crawford County and 1 in Geary County. My ultimate goal for 2027 is that we will get another 4 to 5 launched. My dream is to get this into every county in the state of Kansas that would like to have us. Again, my focus is on rural, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions for Deborah? Representative Reese?
Yes.
Hi, Deborah.
Hello. Nice to see you.
Can you tell the committee what kind of work is done with other community service providers within all the communities that you're touching upon right now?
So in every community, we hire staff. These are typically part-time roles. A few communities, it's a full-time. So the coach runs the weekly program and works with the families during the week. If we have no services available in a community, we're doing a little bit of everything. We might be helping people get to doctor's appointments in Wichita. We might be running someone to Dodge City to get a Social Security card. I mean, we're doing a little bit of everything. If there are other organizations in the community that have services, then we're partnering with them and we're helping our families get to those services as well. So there is a lot of collaboration. We're collaborating with a lot of churches, a lot of other entities. We also have over 1,400 volunteers across the state of Kansas helping in these organizations, these local programs.
Representative Carpenter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Deborah has already survived one of my grillings over the phone about this deal here. So let me just kind of go back. I see your numbers here. You've added 142 more. So what is going on with the other 700? Are they continuing to?
Yeah. So a graduate has gone through a 6-month program with us. They've gone through a curriculum called Getting Ahead in a Just Getting By World. It's a weekly commitment. They've graduated. We invite them to stay with us. We say on average it takes 2 to 5 years to walk out of financial poverty. So we invite them to stay with us in a longer term process. About 70% stay for 6 months or longer. I have a family that walked out of poverty in year 7. Folks are welcome to be with us as long as they need to. Some people, after a year, they've got what they need and they're ready to run. It just depends on the individuals. And they create their own path out of poverty. We're there to help remove barriers and support them and believe in them.
Well, I appreciate that. I just know that, sometimes people take longer,
Yes.
And if you just dump them out, they think they've got there, but, a lot of those habits that they've developed to get there are not easily, ended by 6 months or whatever. And that was my,
So I think if Sarah came into our program with some legal issues, all of her children had been removed from her home. She was just destitute and hopeless. She's been with us 4.5 years. She has a full-time job. She got all 6 of her children back, and she just bought a home. She's hanging with us because she knows she needs the continued support and friendship.
very good. Do you remember what else I grilled you on?
I'm not sure. There was a lot.
As we talked about volunteers,
Oh, yes.
Given the decline with, I think, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings or anything, but I just don't see volunteerism in the younger folks that we used to. It used to be very acceptable to be community service and stuff like that. I just don't see that. So I was questioning you about how your pipeline of volunteers was going to continue, or if it was going to continue, and could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so again, we have paid staff in each community. However, we also need multiple volunteers to make this program grow. In the second phase of the program, we actually invite middle-class folks to walk alongside somebody. We don't call it mentorship, we call it friendship, to walk alongside somebody who's making that journey out of poverty. So there's lots of ways to volunteer. Here's what I've learned, guys. So many people, I don't care where they're at on the political aisle, so many people care about this issue, they just don't know how to help. And so we're training people in middle class to understand why poverty looks as it does, what's really happening, and then we're inviting them into genuine friendships with folks. Everybody's being changed. Everybody's being changed.
Thank you. Representative Steens?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Deborah, for being here today. I think you have a phenomenal program as well.
Thank you.
All these programs.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Amazing seeing all these really great interventions that are being done. And so when you were saying that about the volunteers, I was looking here at your sheet, and I don't know what page that is, but 5, saying like obtained a driver's license, completed a training program, or got medical insurance, things like that. And so I could see where you were mentioning these volunteers come in, right? And so they're able to maybe help some of these people do these things. And when you see some of these people, would you say, like when I'm looking at some of these, there's probably 3 or 4 things that have changed in their life?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, one individual might have 5 or 6 or 7 of those things, right? It's unbelievable how difficult it is to get a driver's license if you're 22 and you don't have your birth certificate and your social security card, and how far are you going to get without that, right? So that's usually a 2.5-month process, helping someone get that done. There are just so many ways that we wrap around, because you walk in and you realize, I don't know how to get that done. And people just resolve, okay, I guess I never will. We're here to say, no, you can, and we know how, and we're going to walk alongside you to help get it done. So our volunteers are doing that as well as our staff. It's amazing. We're empowering people and bringing and restoring hope.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Reese?
One more question.
Yes.
You are asking for $350,000 for the third year and an additional $150,000,
Yes.
so it's $500,000.
Yes, yes, correct.
Can you give something to the committee that breaks that down, how that is being used?
Yes. So the initial 350, it allowed us to hire some additional staff. We launched 2 new programs last year, or in 24. We could not have done that without hiring some additional staffing. So we have staff in the field, but from the hub, we're coaching, training, and supervising those staff regularly. And so as we grow, it just requires more staffing. So these are like individual organizations. So this year, we had 4 sites that had full staff turnover. So we had to hire, train, none of those sites folded because of the structure that we have in place. So that money helped us beef all that up, and it also helped us invest in some marketing and some additional fundraising. We're primarily funded by churches, businesses, and individuals, and so it beefed all of that up. I can give you, I'm happy to send an exact of how those dollars were spent. We have that. The additional 150 would allow us to hire, second half of this year, upwards of 1 more full-time person and a couple of part-time people as we're continuing to grow. I'd like to get to a trajectory where we're bringing on 6 to 7 new sites a year, which takes a lot of bandwidth.
Yeah, if you could provide that.
I can do that, absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Representative Carpenter?
Yeah, I'm going to take another bite at the apple, I apologize, folks. But, so this is not your entire budget?
Correct.
And so could you give us a idea of what your actual budget is?
So the organization is Youth Core Ministry. We actually do 3 things. We have 2 other programs. One is a mentoring program. And so Core Community makes up about 1.8 million of the budget. And I will tell you that this is an interesting stat. Of the communities we're currently in, the total population base of the communities we're currently in is about 70,000 people. We're doing this in really rural places. So we know how to raise money, but because we're in rural areas, just like someone mentioned earlier, we don't have those huge corporations. We have a lot of farmers, ranchers, not a lot of cash flow. We're needing some partnerships with some bigger dollars to get done what we're trying to do.
So you have 1.8 million outside of this 300?
That is Core Community.
Right.
Between all that we're doing in Core Community and all of our counties is about 1.8.
Notwithstanding the money we're talking about?
No, that includes the money. Yes, yes, sir.
So,
that includes it.
So $1.3 million or so?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Deborah, I'm not seeing any other questions. Thank you for committee. Representative Ballard? Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. It was a 3-year ask, 215, correct. Okay, you were speaking on behalf of the Cerebral Palsy Research Foundation of Kansas, right?
Correct.
All right. So that's the point I want. I had missed that, and I think it's important that we point it out. You have invested over $600,000 over the last 3 years in this new program. Which, to do it. And your son has autism.
Yes.
So that it's not visible, but on the other hand, you're supporting that because they kind of, in the okay, so that's what I was trying to figure out. So that makes sense because one, with cerebral palsy, you can see that.
Yeah.
With what you're talking about, okay, you can't see it, and that makes a difference because people don't understand.
One could say you could see it, but it's not like cerebral palsy. So it's a very niche, like I keep saying, he's a gap. He's in the gap. He's always been in the gap, and a lot of autistic people are.
And what indicated that I focused on, Mr. Chairman, was they're investing their own money, but they're at a point, however, where a continuation may not be feasible with the results without continuing state assistance. Okay, that's what I wanted to point out because it's kind of crucial. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Committee, if there are no other questions, a little housekeeping. Tomorrow is, it is Thursday. Thank you, Jenna. Play that quacking sound. Budget hearings for the state hospitals are tomorrow, and then the following day is Friday. And that is the Bob Bethel Can Care Oversight Committee. So we will not be meeting Friday. We will be back in here on Thursday. So conferees, thank you for your patience and your time and attention today. I really appreciate it. Committee, we are adjourned. Thank you.